Commander Zekthara adjusted his crystalline helmet as he gazed down at the human settlement below. The ridge provided an excellent vantage point, allowing the galactic enforcement officers to observe their targets without being detected. At least that's what they believed. "Look at them," sneered Lieutenant Voss, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "Primitive bipeds thinking? They can establish a colony on Kepler 442b without proper authorization." His four eyes gleamed through his translucent helmet as he focused his optical enhancers on the bustling human camp. The settlement spread across the valley like an infection, Zekthara thought. Prefabricated structures dotted the landscape, connected by dirt paths that the humans had carved into the alien soil. Smoke rose from various chimneys, and he could see the tiny figures moving about their daily routines, completely unaware of the superior beings watching them from above. 12 standard rotations they've been here, reported Ensign Krill, consulting his datapad. No response to our warning transmissions. No attempt to contact the Galactic Authority for proper settlement permits. His scaled fingers danced across the holographic interface. Standard protocol suggests immediate evacuation enforcement. Zekthara's chest swelled with pride beneath his armor. The Galactic Enforcement Division had maintained order across 17 star systems for over 3 centuries. These humans, barely capable of interstellar travel, represented nothing more than another minor inconvenience to be resolved efficiently and professionally. "They don't even have proper defensive installations," observed Lieutenant Voss, zooming in on the settlement's perimeter. "No energy shields, no plasma barriers, just some primitive kinetic projectile weapons and what appears to be—" "Are those actually metal barriers?" The alien officers burst into their species equivalent of laughter. Zekthara's throat sac vibrated with deep, rumbling sounds while Voss's mandibles chattered rapidly. Even the usually stoic Krill allowed himself a brief whistling sound that indicated amusement among his people. "Metal barriers," Zekthara repeated, shaking his elongated head. "Against plasma weapons and gravitic disruptors. It's almost endearing in its futility." He activated his COM unit. "Base Command, this is Ridge Team Alpha, target assessment complete. Human settlement shows no significant defensive capabilities. Recommend standard dispersal protocol." The response crackled through their universal translators. "Acknowledged. Ridge Team Alpha, you are authorized to proceed with evacuation enforcement. Minimal force authorization granted." Zekthara felt a familiar thrill. Minimal force against humans meant their advanced weaponry would make quick work of any resistance. Their plasma rifles could melt through the humans' crude metal barriers in seconds. Their gravitic disruptors could literally tear apart molecular bonds, rendering any primitive projectile weapons useless. "Remember," he addressed his team, "these are classified as a developing species. Quick, efficient, professional. We scatter their settlement, they retreat to their ship, and they report back to their government that Kepler 442b is under Galactic Authority protection." Lieutenant Voss checked his weapon systems. The soft hum of charging capacitors music to his audio receptors. "Estimated resistance duration? Based on their technology level?" Zekthara consulted his tactical computer. 17 minutes maximum? Probably closer to 12 once they realized the futility of their position. Ensign Krill pointed toward the settlement center. "Movement patterns suggest they're preparing some kind of midday meal. Optimal timing for minimal casualties while maximizing psychological impact." "Perfect," thought Zekthara. Nothing demonstrated superior firepower like interrupting a peaceful meal with an overwhelming show of force. The humans would scramble, panic, perhaps fire a few desperate shots with their primitive weapons, then surrender once they witnessed the true power of Galactic Authority technology. "Deploy in standard formation," he commanded. "Voss, take the eastern approach. Krill, circle south. I'll advance from the north. Remember, target their defensive positions first, then their power generation. Leave the residential areas intact, but make sure they understand the message." The 3 officers began their descent from the ridge. their advanced combat suits allowing them to navigate the rocky terrain with ease. Servo-assisted muscles provided enhanced strength, while their helmets offered complete environmental protection and targeting assistance. Zekthara felt almost sorry for the humans. They had no idea what was about to descend upon them. Their crude sensors probably couldn't even detect the approaching galactic enforcement team until they were practically on top of them. As they reached the valley floor, Zekthara could see the human settlement in greater detail. The buildings were indeed primitive, constructed from locally manufactured materials rather than proper molecular fabricators. Gardens dotted the spaces between structures, and he could see children playing in what appeared to be a recreational area. Children, that would make the psychological impact even more effective. Nothing motivated species to comply, like the realization that their offspring were vulnerable to superior technology. In position, reported Lieutenant Voss through the standing by, confirmed Ensign Krill. Zek. Thera raised his plasma rifle, feeling the familiar weight of galactic authority behind every molecule of the weapon. In a few moments, these humans would learn why the galaxy's 17 star systems remained peaceful and orderly under proper supervision. Begin enforcement action, he commanded, and stepped into the open, confident that his crystalline helmet and advanced armor made him appear as an unstoppable force of technological superiority. He had no idea that in the settlement below, Sergeant Maria Santos was already adjusting the scope on her rifle, having spotted the alien movement 15 minutes earlier. Sergeant Maria Santos had been watching the ridge for the better part of an hour. 23 years in the Colonial Marines had taught her to trust her instincts, and something about the way the light reflected off certain spots on the rocky outcrop didn't sit right with her. "Collins," she whispered into her throat mic, "you seeing anything unusual up on the North Ridge?" Corporal James Collins, positioned in the settlement's makeshift observation tower, adjusted his binoculars. "Negative, Sarge. What am I looking for?" "Probably nothing," Maria replied, but her finger remained near the trigger of her .50 caliber rifle. The weapon was ancient by galactic standards, but it had served humanity well for over a century. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways. Down in the settlement, life continued its normal rhythm. Dr. Elizabeth Chen was examining soil samples in her laboratory, completely absorbed in the fascinating microorganism diversity of Kepler 442b. Her 6-year-old daughter Lucy played nearby, building elaborate castles from the planet's colorful clay deposits. Engineer Marcus Webb was troubleshooting the fusion reactor that powered their small community. The unit wasn't military grade, but it kept their lights on and their water purifiers running. That was enough for the 43 colonists who had chosen to make this distant world their home. None of them knew they were about to become pawns in a much larger game. "Commander." Zekthara emerged from behind a boulder, his plasma rifle powered and ready. The weapon hummed with barely contained energy, capable of reducing molecular bonds to their component atoms. His crystalline helmet gleamed in the alien sun, and his scaled skin rippled beneath advanced combat armor that could deflect most primitive weapons. "Attention, human settlement," his voice boomed through external speakers. The words translated into Earth standard by sophisticated computers. "You are in violation of Galactic Authority settlement protocols. Evacuate this world immediately or face forcible removal." The settlement went quiet. Children stopped playing. Adults emerged from buildings, shielding their eyes to look up at the imposing alien figure standing on their carefully tended farmland. Dr. Chun stepped forward, her hands raised in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "We've received no communication about settlement protocols," she called back. "This world was listed as unclaimed in our star charts." Zekthara's mandibles clicked with impatience. "Your primitive charts are irrelevant. This world falls under Galactic Authority jurisdiction. You have 10 standard time units to begin evacuation procedures." Lieutenant Voss appeared from the eastern approach, his 4 eyes scanning the human defensive positions. What he saw confirmed his earlier assessment: metal barriers, kinetic weapons, no energy shields. It would be like fighting children with toys. Compliance will result in safe passage to your origin system, Voss announced, his translated voice carrying a tone of superior condescension. Resistance will be met with appropriate force. Up on her hidden perch, Maria Santos had heard enough. Her scope was centered on the lead alien's helmet, and she could see the complex crystalline structure that protected the creature's head. Beautiful craftsmanship, she admitted. Probably worth more than her entire military pension. It was about to become very expensive debris. Collins, she whispered, when I give the word, light up that eastern position. Don't aim for center mass. These things probably have armor. Go for joints, sensors, anything that looks delicate. Roger that, Sarge. Down in the settlement, Dr. Chen was trying to negotiate. Surely we can discuss this peacefully. We're scientists, not soldiers. We pose no threat to galactic authority. Zekthara's patience ran out. These humans clearly didn't understand the superiority of the species addressing them. Perhaps a demonstration would clarify the situation. He raised his plasma rifle toward the nearest building, a small structure that housed the colony's communication equipment. One shot would disable their ability to call for help while demonstrating the futility of resistance. Final. Warning, he announced. That's when Maria Santos squeezed the trigger. The .50 caliber bullet traveled at 2,800 feet per second, carrying 13,000 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. The crystalline helmet, designed to deflect energy weapons and resist atmospheric pressure variations, had never been tested against solid projectile impacts at such velocities. The helmet didn't just crack. It exploded, crystalline fragments scattered in all directions as Zekthara's head snapped backward. Purple alien blood sprayed across his chest armor as he crashed to the ground. His plasma rifle discharging harmlessly into the sky, Lieutenant Voss spun toward the sound of the gunshot, his 4 eyes wide with shock. The sound had been unlike anything in their military database. Not the whine of energy weapons or the hiss of gravitic disruptors. Just a sharp crack that seemed to come from nowhere. Base command, he screamed into his comm unit. Commander down? Unknown weapon type. Requesting immediate. Collins' rifle spoke next. The Marine had followed Santos' advice, aiming for what looked like a sensor array protruding from the alien's shoulder. The impact sent Voss spinning, sparks flying from damaged equipment as he crashed into one of the colonists' vegetable gardens. Ensign Krill, approaching from the south, froze in terror. His 2 comrades, equipped with the most advanced personal protection technology in known space, had been neutralized in seconds by weapons that shouldn't have posed any threat. What are they using? He whispered into his comm, his scaled hands trembling around his gravitic DIS. RUPTO from her position. Maria Santos chambered another round and smiled grimly. These aliens were about to learn why humans had spent millennia perfecting the art of putting holes in things from very far away. Welcome to Earth's neighborhood, she muttered, and began tracking her next target. Ensign Krill had never experienced fear like this before. In 17 years of galactic enforcement service, he had subdued rebellious mining colonies, dispersed unauthorized trading posts, and maintained order across multiple star systems. Never once had he encountered a species that could neutralize superior technology with such primitive weapons. His scaled fingers danced across his communicator as he tried to reach the orbital command vessel. Base Command, this is Ground Team Alpha. We have casualties. Unknown kinetic weapons. Requesting immediate backup. The response crackled with static interference. Acknowledged, Ground Team Alpha. Backup is 30 standard time units out. Can you maintain position? Krill glanced at his fallen comrades. Commander Zekthara lay motionless, purple blood pooling around his shattered helmet. Lieutenant Voss was struggling to rise, his sensor array sparking and his combat suit's left arm hanging useless. Negative, Base Command. We need immediate extraction. Dr. Elizabeth Chun watched the chaos unfold from behind a makeshift barrier. The aliens' weapon technology was obviously far beyond human capabilities, but something had gone terribly wrong with their plan. The lead alien was down, and the remaining 2 seemed genuinely frightened. Maria, she spoke into her emergency communicator, what's our situation? Santos' voice came back steady and professional. 2 hostiles neutralized, 1 still mobile. These things aren't as tough as they pretend to be. Engineer Marcus Webb had been listening to the conversation while herding children toward the emergency shelter. Their weapons could still level this entire settlement, he pointed out. We need to end this quick. That's when Ensign Krill made his fatal mistake. Panicked and desperate, he activated his gravitic disruptor and aimed it at the building where he thought the gunfire had originated. The weapon hummed to life. Its energy output, capable of tearing apart molecular bonds in a 3-meter radius. What he didn't know was that colonial marine training included extensive education about alien weapon signatures. Santos had been tracking the energy buildup through her scopes, electromagnetic sensors for the past 15 seconds. She fired first. The bullet caught Krill center mass, just below his chest armor where the combat suit's joints allowed for movement. The kinetic impact sent him stumbling backward, his gravitic disruptor spinning away to discharge harmlessly into a pile of mining equipment. But Krill was still alive, still dangerous. His species' physiology was remarkably resilient, and while the bullet had penetrated his armor, it hadn't reached any vital organs. That's when the colonists demonstrated why humans had conquered their own world long. Before reaching for the stars, Marcus Webb emerged from behind cover carrying a modified mining laser. Hey, ugly! The beam caught Krill across the torso, not powerful enough to kill, but certainly enough to overload his combat suit's systems. Sparks flew from multiple components as the alien crashed to the ground. His armor smoking. Dr. Chun appeared with a steel cable she'd grabbed from the construction supplies. Somebody help me tie this thing down before it recovers. 3 other colonists rushed forward, and within minutes they had the surviving alien secured with industrial-strength restraints. Krill's equipment was sparking and dead, his weapon systems offline, his communication array fried. Lieutenant Voss, meanwhile, had managed to crawl behind one of the settlement's storage buildings. His shoulder mount was destroyed, his left arm useless, but his plasma rifle still functioned. He had 1 shot at ending this humiliation. Corporal Collins spotted the movement first. Sarge, got a wounded hostile trying to flank from the east. I see him. Santos adjusted her position, tracking the alien's awkward movement through her scope. Stand by. But Voss wasn't trying to escape. With the desperate courage of a career soldier watching his unit destroyed by primitive opponents, he raised his plasma rifle, one-handed, and aimed at the group surrounding his captured comrade. The rifle's charging whine was clearly audible across the settlement. Santos fired without hesitation. Her bullet punched through the plasma rifle's energy chamber. Just as the weapon reached full charge, the explosion lit up the settlement like a miniature sun. Purple energy cascaded in all directions as the weapon's containment field collapsed. Voss vanished in the blast. His combat armor no match for the uncontrolled release of superheated plasma. When the light faded, nothing remained but a smoking crater and scattered fragments of alien technology. The settlement fell quiet except for the crackling of burning vegetation and the soft whimpering of Ensign Krill, who was staring at the crater where his lieutenant had been. Dr. Chun looked around at her fellow colonists. They had just survived first contact with an advanced alien species, and somehow they had won. 3 professional alien soldiers, equipped with technology centuries ahead of human capabilities, had been defeated by a handful of farmer scientists and 2 off-duty Marines. Well, she said finally, that's going to be an interesting report to send back to Earth. Maria Santos climbed down from her position, her ancient rifle slung over her shoulder. Ma'am, I don't think this is over. That alien mentioned a base command. There are more of them up there. As if summoned by her words, 3 points of light appeared in the afternoon sky, growing larger by the second. The backup had arrived, and they were coming in fast. Marcus Webb looked up at the approaching ships and then at their single alien prisoner. Think they'll want to negotiate now? Santos checked her ammunition count and smiled grimly. Only one way to find out, but I suggest we make our first impression count. The real battle was about to begin. Captain Irandar commanded the Galactic Authority vessel. Judgment of Sons, with the confidence born of 3 centuries of unopposed enforcement actions. His ship hung in orbit above Kepler 442 like a monument to technological supremacy. Bristling with plasma batteries and gravitic torpedo tubes, the distress signal from ground. Team Alpha had been ... disturbing, casualties from kinetic weapons. The very concept seemed impossible. No species in the known galaxy still use such primitive technology for military purposes. Analysis complete, Captain, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Surtok. Ground team's final transmission indicates complete unit loss except for Ensign Krill, who appears to be captured. Irundar's throat sac swelled with indignation. 3 trained galactic enforcement officers defeated by humans? The species barely qualified for spaceflight status. Their technology was laughably crude, their society fragmented, their military doctrine based on ancient kinetic projectiles. Deploy 3 enforcement squads, he commanded. Full combat gear, energy shields active. Show these primitives what happens when they interfere with Galactic Authority operations. The 3 ships that descended toward the human settlement were works of art and engineering. Sleek hulls made from molecularly perfect alloys, powered by antimatter cores armed with weapons that could glass continents. Each carried a squad of 12 elite soldiers equipped with personal energy shields, plasma weapons, and combat armor that could resist most known forms of attack, most known forms, down on the surface. Dr. Chun was coordinating the evacuation of non-essential personnel while Maria Santos and James Collins prepared defensive positions. The colonists had scattered their few weapons among the buildings, trying to create overlapping fields of fire. 36 hostiles incoming, Collins reported, tracking the descending ships through his scope. They're landing in a standard triangle formation about 200 meters out. Santos nodded. Smart. Stay out of range of primitive weapons while maintaining superior firepower. She checked her rifle again. 12 rounds remaining in the magazine, 3 spare magazines in her pack. Against 36 heavily armed aliens with energy shields, the math wasn't encouraging. Marcus. Webb appeared carrying an armload of modified mining equipment. I managed to jury-rig some of our industrial lasers into something resembling weapons. They won't penetrate energy shields, but they might overload the power systems. Every little bit helps, Santos replied. She activated her communicator. All positions, remember your training. These things have energy shields, but shields require power. Make them work for it. The first squad hit the ground in perfect formation, energy shields glowing around each soldier like personal force fields. Squad leader Vexahan surveyed the primitive settlement with disdain. Crude buildings, metal barriers, no sophisticated defensive systems whatsoever. Spread out, he ordered his team. Standard suppression pattern. Target their defensive positions first. That's when the mining charges exploded, Marcus. Webb had spent the previous hour planting shaped charges around the landing zone. Old mining explosives repurposed for military use. The blasts sent clouds of dirt, rock, and shrapnel in all directions. The aliens' energy shields held. But the sudden chaos gave the humans their opening. Santos fired first, her bullet striking Vexahan's shield generator directly. The impact didn't penetrate, but the kinetic energy overloaded the device's compensation circuits. Sparks flew as the shield flickered and died. Her second shot took the squad leader in the chest. Collins had been targeting another soldier's shield generator, and his rifle's impact caused similar results. The alien spun around, looking for the source of the attack. Just as Webb's jury-rigged laser caught him across the helmet, the second and third squads landed to find chaos. Their carefully planned assault had dissolved into confusion as unseen enemies, struck from prepared positions with weapons their shields weren't designed to handle. Report? Captain Irandar demanded from orbit. Taking casualties, came the reply from squad leader Morton. Unknown weapon interactions with our shield systems? Request tactical analysis. Back on the Judgment of Sons, the tactical computer worked frantically to analyze the combat data. The results were ... impossible. Captain? Surtak reported, his voice uncertain. The humans appear to be using solid projectile weapons with sufficient kinetic energy to destabilize our shield generators. Impossible, Irandar snapped. Our shields are designed to deflect plasma bolts, gravitic pulses, even particle beams. A simple kinetic projectile can't. The kinetic energy transfer is disrupting the shield matrix focal points, Surtak interrupted. The generators can't compensate for such concentrated impact forces. Down on the surface, the battle was turning into a nightmare for the galactic enforcement teams. Their energy shields, designed to deflect sophisticated energy weapons, were useless against chunks of metal moving at hypersonic velocities. Dr. Chun emerged from cover with a jury-rigged electromagnetic pulse device built from their communication equipment. The pulse wouldn't harm the aliens directly, but it played havoc with their suit sensors and targeting systems within minutes. The advanced alien technology that had seemed so intimidating was reduced to expensive, sparking junk. Squad leader Morton found himself pinned down behind a human storage building. His shield generator dead, half his team casualties, facing an enemy he couldn't even locate. Every time one of his soldiers tried to advance, another bullet would come from an unexpected direction. This is impossible, he whispered into his communicator. These are primitives. They shouldn't be able to. Colin's bullet caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around. As he fell, he caught sight of a human figure on a distant rooftop. Holding what looked like an ancient kinetic weapon, the realization hit him with stunning force. The humans weren't using advanced technology to defeat superior aliens. They were using ancient technology so primitive that the alien defenses couldn't handle it. It was like being stabbed with a sharpened stick after. Preparing for laser weapons. Captain? Irandar watched his tactical display fill with casualty reports and felt his worldview crumbling. 3 elite enforcement squads, equipped with the finest military technology in the galaxy, were being systematically destroyed by a handful of humans using weapons that belonged in a museum. Sir, Surtak said quietly, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. Irandar stared at the planet below, where primitive bullets were shattering the finest crystalline helmets galactic technology could produce. For the first time in his career, he began to understand why these humans had survived long enough to reach the stars. High Admiral Vekmur of the Galactic Authority received Captain Irandar's emergency transmission while reviewing routine patrol reports from 17 star systems. The message changed everything. Ground forces eliminated. Orbital bombardment ineffective against dispersed targets. Request immediate reinforcement. Human technology appears to be specifically designed to counter our defensive systems. Vekmur read the report 3 times before activating his strategic analysis computer. The data made no sense. Humans were classified as a barely spacefaring species, rated at technology level 2.3 on the galactic scale. Their weapons were primitive kinetic projectiles. Their armor basic metallic alloys, their energy output limited to fusion level. Reactions, yet somehow they had defeated 3 elite enforcement squads and forced a battle cruiser into defensive. Orbit. Analysis, he commanded his computer. Insufficient data for comprehensive tactical assessment, the artificial intelligence responded. Recommend immediate intelligence gathering mission. Down on Kepler 442b, Dr. Elizabeth Chen was having a very different conversation with their alien prisoner. Ensign Krill had recovered enough to speak, and his terror was making him remarkably cooperative. Your weapons, he whispered, his scaled hands trembling. They ignore our defenses completely. How is this possible? Chun studied the aliens' shattered equipment. The crystalline helmet fragments were beautiful, clearly manufactured to tolerances that human industry couldn't match. The energy shield generator was a work of art, incorporating principles of physics that Earth scientists were only beginning to understand. Our weapons are simple, she explained. Very old design. We just put a piece of metal in a tube and use an explosion to make it go very fast. Krill stared at her in disbelief. That single quotes S. Primitive. Barbaric? No civilized species has used such crude methods for millennia. Maybe that's your problem, Chun replied. Maria Santos joined the conversation, having just finished coordinating the cleanup of alien equipment scattered across their settlement. 3 enforcement squads worth of advanced technology lay in pieces, most of it damaged beyond repair by simple bullets. Your people, she asked Krill, how long since you fought someone who fought back? The question seemed to puzzle the alien. Fought back? We are galactic enforcement. Species comply with our directives? But when's the last time you had a real fight? Not an enforcement action, not subduing rebels? A real war where both sides had equal chances of winning? Krill's silence was answer enough. Collins appeared from his watch position, excitement evident in his voice. Sarge, you need to see this. Their ship's moving. High above, the Judgment of Suns was indeed moving, but not in retreat. Captain Irandar had received new orders from High Command: observe and analyze human combat methods. Learn how such primitive weapons could neutralize advanced defenses. The ship descended slowly, maintaining enough altitude to avoid ground-based weapons while its sensors recorded everything. Captain, Surtak reported, long-range scans indicate the humans have constructed additional defensive positions using our own equipment. Irandar focused his viewing screen on the settlement below. The humans had indeed been busy. Alien energy weapons had been mounted on improvised platforms around their perimeter. Damaged shield generators were being cannibalized for parts. Even the wreckage of alien armor was being repurposed into protective barriers. They're learning our technology, he murmured. How quickly are they adapting? Analysis suggests accelerated technical integration, Surtak replied. Their engineer appears to have successfully interfaced alien power systems with human manufacturing equipment. Marcus Webb was indeed busy. The alien power cells were incredibly efficient, and their energy output was stable enough to power the entire settlement for months. Better yet, their plasma weapons could be recalibrated to operate at lower power settings, making them useful for everything from mining to manufacturing. This is incredible, he told Chun as he examined an alien gravitic disruptor. Look at this focusing array. We could adapt this principle to our mining operations, maybe even our construction equipment. Chun watched him work and felt a chill of realization. Marcus, we're not just defending ourselves anymore. We're learning from them. Is that bad? For them? Probably. Up in orbit, High Admiral Deckmore was reaching the same conclusion. The human settlement wasn't just resisting galactic authority enforcement. It was actively acquiring and adapting superior technology at an alarming rate. Tactical assessment, he demanded from his analysis computer. Human species demonstrates exceptional adaptability and learning curve. Current rate of technological acquisition suggests they will achieve parity with galactic standard within 1 standard year, assuming continued access to advanced systems. Deckmore felt his throat sac constrict with worry. 1 year? It had taken most species decades to achieve such advancement, usually with extensive galactic authority guidance and oversight. Recommendation: immediate containment. Prevent further technology transfer. Consider classification upgrade from developing species to potential threat. The admission was shocking. In 3 centuries of galactic expansion, no species had ever been reclassified as a potential threat based on technological acquisition speed. Down on the planet, Santos was teaching colonist families how to use captured alien weapons while Chun worked with Krill to understand their communication systems. The alien had become increasingly cooperative as he watched humans casually master technology that took his species years to understand. Your people? He asked Chun during one session. How do you learn so quickly? Chun paused in her examination of an alien computer interface. We've always had to. On our world, if you didn't adapt fast, you died. Natural selection favored quick learners. But your technology is so primitive. Was primitive, Chun corrected. Yesterday, our most advanced weapon was a rifle that shoots metal bullets. Today, we're powering our entire settlement with your energy cells and mounting your plasma weapons on our defensive positions. Krill looked around the settlement that had been transformed in just hours. Human children were playing with toys that incorporated alien materials. Human engineers were building new structures using principles copied from alien equipment. Human soldiers were training with weapons that had belonged to galactic enforcement just that morning. "What will you be tomorrow?" he whispered. Chun smiled, and for the first time, Krill understood why his species' first contact with humanity had gone so disastrously wrong. These weren't primitive beings to be easily subdued. They were survivors who had spent millennia learning to turn any advantage into a weapon, any tool into an improvement, any enemy's strength into their own, and now they had access to galactic technology. 6 months after the battle at the Ridge, the settlement on Kepler 442b had transformed beyond recognition. What began as a collection of prefabricated buildings and farming PLOTs now resembled a fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology that defied easy classification. Dr. Elizabeth Chun stood in her new laboratory, examining a molecular fabricator that Webb had jury-rigged from 3 different alien systems. The device could manufacture components with precision that had been impossible just months before, and her 6-year-old daughter Lucy was using a simplified version to create homework assignments that would have challenged university professors on Earth. The Galactic Authority delegation is requesting permission to land, Collins reported from the communication center. His equipment now incorporated alien sensor arrays and quantum communicators that could reach across star systems instantaneously. Chun smiled. "Tell them they're welcome to visit. Standard diplomatic protocols." The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the settlement. 6 months ago, humans had been the illegal squatters facing forcible eviction. Now, the Galactic Authority was requesting permission to enter human space. Hi. Admiral Vekmar's shuttle touched down in the settlement's expanded landing area, flanked by structures that made his advanced vessel look almost quaint by comparison. The humans had taken alien defensive technology and improved it, creating shield systems that were both more efficient and more adaptable than anything in the galactic fleet. "Dr. Chun," he greeted, his translator rendering his words in perfect English. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Chun gestured toward the settlement's central building, which had been expanded with materials that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. "Admiral, welcome to New Geneva. I think you'll find we've made some improvements since your last visit." As they walked through the settlement, Vek marveled at what the humans had accomplished. Children played in gardens where earth plants grew alongside alien species in perfect harmony. Engineers worked on projects that combined human creativity with alien precision. Artists created sculptures that incorporated gravity manipulation and energy field dynamics. Most impressive of all, the settlement had expanded. What began as 43 colonists now housed over 200 humans, with more arriving weekly as word spread throughout human space about the technological paradise being built on Kepler 442b. "Your rapid development is unprecedented," Vekmar admitted as they entered Chun's office. "We're quick learners," she replied, gesturing to a chair that adjusted automatically to his physiology. "Ensign Krill has been very helpful in explaining galactic technology. He's become quite popular with our engineering teams." Krill himself appeared in the doorway, looking remarkably different from the terrified prisoner he had been months earlier. His scales had taken on a healthier color, and he wore a modified version of human clothing that accommodated his alien physiology. "Admiral," he said carefully, "the humans have offered me permanent residency. I've learned more about engineering in 6 months here than in 20 years of galactic service." Vekmar studied his former officer with concern. "Ensign, your duty is to the Galactic Authority." "My duty," Krill replied, "is to the pursuit of knowledge and the betterment of civilized species. I found that here." Chun leaned back in her chair, which was clearly manufactured from alien materials but designed according to human aesthetics. "Admiral, we need to discuss the future. Your authority claims jurisdiction over this system, but you've proven incapable of enforcing that jurisdiction. Meanwhile, we've established a thriving colony and made significant improvements to local conditions." "Improvements?" She activated a holographic display that showed the entire star system. Our mining operations are 300% more efficient than galactic standards. Our agricultural output exceeds projections by 400%. We've established trade relationships with 17 different species, most of whom weren't even aware of each other before we arrived. The display zoomed in on various installations throughout the system, orbital habitats that combined human living spaces with alien manufacturing systems, asteroid mining operations using gravity manipulation technology that humans had improved beyond galactic specifications, research stations where scientists from dozens of species worked together on projects that no single civilization could have accomplished alone. Furthermore, Chun continued, our defensive capabilities now exceed those of most galactic enforcement vessels. Not because we're more aggressive, but because we've learned to combine the best aspects of multiple technological approaches. Vekmore felt his worldview shifting once again. You're suggesting joint administration of this system? I'm suggesting that your galactic authority might benefit from learning new approaches to governance and technology. You've maintained order through superior force for centuries, but you've also stagnated. When was the last time any galactic species made a significant technological breakthrough? The question hit harder than any bullet. Galactic civilization had indeed become stable, but stability had come at the cost of innovation. Most species accepted galactic technology as the pinnacle of achievement and stopped trying to improve it. Humans, it seemed, had never received that message. What are you proposing? He asked. Duck Chun smiled. Partnership. Humans are good at improvisation, adaptation, and improvement. Your people are good at precision, organization, and large-scale coordination. Together we might accomplish things that neither of us could achieve alone. She activated another display showing planned developments throughout the local cluster of star systems. We're calling it the Human Galactic Cooperative Zone, Shared Technology, Joint Research Projects, Cultural Exchange Programs. Your people learn innovation from us, we learn refinement from you. Vekmore studied the plans, which included infrastructure projects that would benefit dozens of species and research initiatives that addressed problems the Galactic Authority had considered unsolvable. And if we refuse? Chun's expression didn't change, but her tone carried undertones of steel. Then you'll watch us spread throughout this region of space at our own pace, with or without your cooperation. We've already made contact with several species that are very interested in human technology and teaching methods. Through the window, Vekmore could see human children playing alongside young aliens from 3 different species. Engineers from multiple civilizations worked together on projects that combined technologies in ways that seemed impossible but clearly functioned perfectly. Maria Santos appeared in the doorway, still carrying her ancient rifle but now wearing armor that incorporated alien defensive systems. Dr. Chun, sorry to interrupt, but we've got incoming ships from the Altarian Trade Confederation. They're here for the technology exchange program. Chun nodded. Thank you, Sergeant. Admiral, that's 12 species now that have chosen to work with us rather than through traditional galactic authority channels. The choice is yours, adapt and grow or watch the galaxy change around you. Vekmore looked out at the settlement that had begun as an illegal colony and had become something unprecedented in galactic history. A truly cooperative civilization where different species contributed their strengths to mutual advancement for the first time in centuries. The Galactic Authority was being offered an opportunity to learn rather than simply enforce 6 months ago. Human bullets had shattered alien helmets on a ridge overlooking the settlement. Today, humans and aliens worked together to build something neither could have achieved alone. Dr. Chun, he said finally, I believe we have much to discuss. Outside, Lucy Chun was teaching a young Altarian how to modify a gravity generator to create the perfect swing for their playground. The future, it seemed, was being built one small improvement at a time.